Now, as we know, Golden State lost against the LA Lakers in round 2, 6 games. Everything comes to an end. It's just nature. I mean, life comes to an end at some point. Streaks come to an end. If that's the case, nobody would ever win. Nobody would ever lose. Things come to an end. I keep hitting the mic. Things come to an end, right? And now the question is, because I think this is the first time in the Steve Kerr era that when the Golden State Warriors have been completely healthy and the Golden State Warriors have made the playoffs, that the team has lost before they've gotten to the NBA Finals. So now you're hearing, is this the end for the dynasty? Is the Golden State dynasty over? And I'll say it could be, and it could not be. I think that, I don't remember who said it, but I think that this is the most important offseason in the Golden State Warriors history. And yes, that's even more important than the offseason was 2016 when they got Kevin Durant. Things that in dynasties aren't losses. It's actions after a loss and how you respond to a loss. This entire year, what we were doing was banking on history. Because if you looked at the Golden State Warriors, this team, there's no way that this team looked like, in fact, this team did not look like a championship team all year. What you banked on is the greatness of Stephen Curry and the greatness of Klay Thompson, the greatness of Draymond Green, and the history that, or at least the recent history that the Golden State Warriors have shown and proven to us that they are a championship caliber team. But if you look at the totality of this season, they have not looked like a championship caliber team. They had the worst road record by a defending champion in NBA history in the regular season. They won 11 games. They were very middle of the pack in defense, and I've said this, and actually the stats back it up. I don't think there's been a team since the LA Lakers when they had Shaq and Kobe that was outside of the top 10 in defense. And Golden State was like 18th. And while I don't think we talked about this when I talked about Jordan Poole and of course the whole punch. I don't think that the punch ruined the season. What the punch did, in my opinion, is it divided the team. And you had the younger players and the older players. And it also affected the way that Draymond Green, who was the de facto leader of the team, as far as the verbal leader and the fiery leader, it affected how he led the team. And when you take that fire from Draymond Green and you take the voice away from Draymond Green, he's a very different player. And whatever team he's on is a very different team. While, yes, Steph Curry is still Steph Curry, as we've seen in today's NBA, you can't do it alone. In fact, I don't think you could ever do it alone. So if you looked at just this season, right, this team, the Golden State Warriors, was not a championship team. Jordan Poole was hella inconsistent. The bench, what they did was you banked on, you can let players like Bielitsa go. You can let players like Otto Porter go. You can let players like Gary Payton II at the time go. You can let players like Damian Lee go because you're hoping that the young players like a James Wiseman, like a Jonathan Kuminga, like a Moses Moody, like a Jordan Poole, you're hoping that the young players can step up in their presence. You also get a Dante DiVincenzo. You get a JaMychal Green. You're hoping they can fill the void that the older players have, or the vets that are leaving filled. And on paper, they should have. Jonathan Kuminga is a very athletic, raw talent. We know Jordan Poole on his best day how he can play. Dante DiVincenzo showed flashes all season. Moses Moody showed flashes all season. But James Wiseman, he was out. It's Golden State. It didn't operate on their timeline, so they traded him and got back Gary Payton II. So this entire year, like I said, Golden State did not look like a championship team. Terrible on the road, world beaters pretty much at home, but you have to win on the road in the playoffs, especially if you're the 6th seed and you do not have home court advantage at all. In fact, most of the year they had to fight to get into playoff contention, which is why they ended up at the 6th seed. And we talked about breaks a couple episodes ago. I think it was a break that De'Aaron Fox hurt his hand. Now, I do think that Golden State probably still was going to win that series, but you never know. And when you're going up against a team that you really don't have any breaks, not just the breaks, because I'm not going to take away from the greatness of what Golden State was this entire tenured that we've seen, but when you're going up against a team that, you know, they have advantages that you don't, and you have advantages that they don't, but you're unable to capitalize on those advantages, well, you lose. So the question now is the dynasty over? Is this iteration, or is the Golden State Warriors that we know, are they done? Can Golden State ever win a championship again? And I answer that question with, this is the most important offseason in Golden State Warriors history. We know with the new CBA, there is major, like cataclysmic consequences if they bring back everyone. If they bring back Klay Thompson on a new contract, if they bring back, or like on a max contract, if Draymond Green opts into his player option, if they bring back Dante DiVincenzo, if they try to bring back JaMychal Green, I don't think it would be smart to. This team, as fully constructed, is not good enough to be as we saw this year, is not good enough to be a champion. Even though a lot of people will say that this is the same team that won in 2022, which they're not wrong, but what people fail to acknowledge is team chemistry. And I think that that Draymond Green punch really distorted or really shifted the team chemistry or killed the team chemistry. So now you have players like Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole that don't feel comfortable, or Jonathan Kuminga that feels like he deserves more minutes. Jordan Poole, who thrives as in the starting position but doesn't thrive coming off the bench, or doesn't thrive with Steph Curry on the floor. He thrives as the single player. It just called this team this year. And again, people underestimate the veteranness of an Otto Porter, of a Bielitsa, of a Damian Lee. I'm not saying those players are you automatically go on their team or if Otto Porter automatically on your team, you're a champion. No. But it's about camaraderie, and what we saw is Golden State lost that. So here's what Golden State decisions that need to be made. Let's just start with there. You have to make some hard decisions. It first starts with Klay Thompson. I think that Klay Thompson is definitely not the Klay Thompson that we're accustomed to seeing in this dynasty run. He's not the Game 6 Klay we haven't seen in a while. Let's just be honest with it. And you're already hearing reports that they're going to try to bring him back on with a pay cut, which I'm not upset about. I think that is the right place that you can have Klay Thompson. I don't think he should make any type of max. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think that Klay Thompson, even on this team, deserves the max after what we saw in this playoff run, and I don't think any other team would give him the max. So I think you keep Klay, because Klay Thompson did have one of his best regular seasons as far as percentages. Had one of his best regular seasons of his career this year. It's just in the playoffs he just wasn't making shots. And as we've seen, Steph Curry can still be a number one player, and I think Steph Curry is still a top 5 player. So you still have a top 5 player. You have a good running mate. What it is you can't. Golden State at this point, at this iteration of Golden State, is not good enough to just depend on guard scoring. This entire dynasty, they have been able to depend on just guard scoring. Now, yes, you have the Kevin Durant years, but we can look at last year. Most of the points came from the guards. And don't get me wrong, Steph Curry is still Steph Curry, still the greatest shooter ever. Klay Thompson, in my opinion, is the second greatest shooter ever. But the league has caught up to the Golden States in terms of you can't just get by with Steph Curry going nuclear every game, because as we saw against the Lakers, it's not gonna work. So I think you have to make a decision about Klay. Is Klay still part of the immediate future? Then you have to make a decision about Draymond Green. I think just sitting here today, I think that Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry, they're going to be Warriors for life. Draymond Green still made all defense second team. So he's still a good defender. So now you have to make a decision, and this is where the decisions matter outside of the big three, because I think the big three, Steph is still locked in, but I think the big three, as far as Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, I think they're set. So now you have to make a decision. To me, the biggest decision that you have to make, and it's not really even your decision, and that's Bob Myers. I think you have to keep Bob Myers. Bob Myers is one of the best GMs in basketball, and he's one of the minds that built this Golden State Warriors team. And I understand that he said he's going to take a couple weeks because he's torn because of the relationship that he has with the big three. But Bob, I'm not saying that his successor can't be successful, but a lot of the success that you're seeing from Golden State is because of the genius that is Bob Myers. So that's the first. You have to find a way to bring him back, and then you have to make a decision on the young players. I think that what Golden State Warriors need, they need a 3-and-D player, and they need a stretch big, an offensive stretch big. I heard Colin Cowherd said Julius Randle, right, for like Jordan Poole and maybe Andrew Wiggins or something. I'll say if you're just talking about the talent of Julius Randle, then yes, that's a no-brainer. But if you're talking about the personality and the temperament and how Julius Randle pouts a lot, hell no. I don't think that would work in the Golden State system, I'll be real with you. But you need to find a stretch big. A stretch big that can play defense and that can look to score. Because what's one thing that killed them in these playoffs is, or at least going against the Lakers, is the Lakers always had an advantage when Kevon Looney and Draymond Green were on the floor because they don't look to score. In fact, the only games that Golden State won, the 2 games, Draymond Green looked to score. The other 4, he didn't. So you need a stretch big, and you need a 3-and-D player because while, yes, Andrew Wiggins is still good, Andrew Wiggins, it definitely affected him not being with the team for 2 months. And if you get someone like I know you're not going to get him, and I know he's on the extreme. But if you get someone like a Mikal Bridges, that would do wonders for Golden State. Because I also think that it's not because of Andrew Wiggins. I think Andrew Wiggins is still good at defense. It's really because of Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, you can't expect Klay Thompson to. Well, Klay Thompson is not the same defender that he's been. That's just real. So, and when Gary Payton II, who was a really good addition, he is kind of like he's a smaller Draymond Green. He looks to attack, but he's not that good offensively as far as shooting the ball. Which is why I said a 3-and-D player, like maybe a Jay Crowder or something like that. I'll say this: the dynasty is not done because you have a top 5 player in Steph Curry, and if you look at the regular season, again, Klay Thompson had one of his best regular seasons, and Draymond Green is still a he still was all defense second team this year. So you still get the defense from Draymond Green, and Klay can still give you Klay type games. It's just you have to make a decision. Is Jordan Poole a part of the future? I understand it's hard to give a Jordan Poole, but then again, what are you going to get for Jordan Poole? If you do decide to shop him, or if you do decide to shop as a Jonathan Kuminga, I think that everybody on the Golden State Warriors should be on the board outside of Steph Curry. Now, yes, I understand they're probably not going to trade Klay. They're probably not going to trade Dre. But I think that everybody should be on the board. Because think of it like this, and I know this isn't going to happen, but I've heard people say this multiple times. What if the Lakers call and say, yo, you give us Klay and Andrew Wiggins, and we'll give you Anthony Davis? You think that they wouldn't make that move in a heartbeat? Or if... I need to think of a player that could be on the move. I don't know defensively, but what if they got a Kristaps Porzingis? That's definitely a scorer, and he's tall, so the ways dynasties die is they hold on for too long, or it's just an abrupt stop. Because I saw how good Steph Curry can be, and I saw Klay Thompson had a 50-point game this year. I still think that the dynasty could still be alive. I think that this iteration of the team, like Steve Kerr said, has maxed out. And if you do not make the right decisions, the dynasty could be over. Because, again, the league is catching up. You still have Boston. You still have, let's just talk about the West. You saw what's going on with the Suns, the Nuggets, the Clippers, see what they'll do. Dallas, You can't look at this team, right, and see what you saw this entire year and stay pat. Because if, like Steve Kerr said, if you were good enough to win a championship, you'd still be playing. Case closed. Steph Curry is still a top 5 player. Everyone else should be reevaluated or should be evaluated outside of him. So the first one, of course, is get Bob Myers. Hopefully he stays. And have to have some tough conversations, some tough decisions. Because no one wants to admit they're wrong, right? No one wants to admit they're wrong. It's a pride thing. But as of right now, Golden State was wrong about Jordan Poole. Golden State was wrong about Jonathan Kuminga. Things can definitely change. It can be a great all season for them. See what happens with the draft. We'll talk about the draft lottery in a second, but we'll see. But as of right now, the dynasty is not. I don't think it's over. But there's no way that this team can stay pat. No way. There has to be some moves. There has to be some changes. when you have a player as good as Steph Curry, there's no way that you can't. There's no way that you don't ride that momentum because he's still Steph Curry. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.